What's up, guys? This is Brent with Western Equipment. Let's jump right on in and get to talking about this John Deere 26P mini excavator. So let's start with the model number 26P. What does this mean? What does the 26 stand for, and also the P? Now, 26 is going to have to do with the weight, and what this means actually is 2.6 metric tons, which is going to be the weight of the machine. So in pounds, this is 5,780 pounds. Now, what you'll see throughout the John Deere excavator lineup is you will see other models such as the 17G, which would be smaller than this, which would be 1.7 metric tons, or the 30G, which would be 3.0 metric tons, so on and so forth. This is going to be the same not only in John Deere but also in other manufacturers. So whenever you see one of these excavators and you see that number, you can almost always bet that that is going to be the weight of the machine. Now, the P on this machine, this is just going to be a series indicator. John Deere changes these from time to time whenever they're rolling out new models that have different features and such. For instance, before, this model used to be a 26G. Now it has changed to the P tier as of 2023. So let's just start from the front and work our way towards the back. We will start here by talking about our boom or digger assembly, whatever you want to call it here, guys. What this is going to be comprised of is you are going to have your boom piece that is going to be the one large piece that comes out from the machine all the way out here to where we have our second piece here, which is called the stick. Sometimes this is called the dipper. Whatever those things are, your boom, the full thing is going to be made up of these two pieces, the actual boom here and then our stick. And then of course we are going to have our quick attach down here for whatever type of attachment we are going to be running on this mini excavator. Everywhere that we have a pivot point, everywhere that we have a pin, which is going to be here, 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 and also two at the actual pivot of the machine, we are going to have grease points that we need to be making sure and hitting and taking care of those. Now, one nice thing about all of these grease points is that John Deere has actually built in some insurance for you. And so what I mean by that is that at every pivot point here, you are going to have bushings that are put into these pivot points that are going to be oil soaked, or they are going to have oil baked into them. That way, if somebody forgets to grease this pivot point, those bushings, when they get hot, will start to secrete a lubricant to make sure and take care of these pivot points until somebody thinks about or remembers to come back and go ahead and grease those and take care of those. So just know that you do have a little bit of insurance there. If you have other operators that are doing this and maybe you're forgetting that maintenance, you have a little bit of extra protection here built into the machine. But it is very important that we make sure that we are taking care of these grease points. Now, the other thing that we would point out on this boom is here at the pivot point, when we go from boom to the stick, is that we have these huge pieces of plate steel here. You're going to have these on both sides. You're also going to have plate steel at the front at your pivot point where your boom is able to swing from left to right. And the reason that they use plate steel is you are going to get a lot more strength and a lot more longevity out of this plate steel than you would if this was cast iron. Now, a lot of places are going to use cast iron, and that is simply because that is a cheaper material, and it's also going to be a little bit lighter. You are going to have that strong plate steel at the pivot to make sure you have plenty of integrity with this boom, using it for those different things. We're going to be putting a lot of tension on this whenever we're digging. If we're using this machine with a grapple in the front, lifting those heavy things, you are going to be putting a lot of stress on this. So this is going to be huge that we have these big pieces of plate steel here to make sure that the integrity of your boom holds up. Now, a couple other things to point out is that you are going to have some big, nice steel guards. One is going to be in front of your boom cylinder here, then also down on our front blade. We have a nice guard there that's going to guard those cylinders, make sure to keep debris off of them and keep you from damaging those cylinders with those nice heavy steel guards. Now, as I said earlier, most of the time on these mini excavators, we are going to be using a bucket. We're going to be using them for digging out a trench, holes, maybe clean out a pond, whatever those things are. We are mainly going to be using a bucket. So a couple of specs that you're going to want to know is the amount of reach that you're going to have, the amount of reach that you are going to have out from the machine out to this end. If it's fully extended, is 15 feet 2 inches. And then your digging depth, digging straight down, you're going to have a maximum digging depth of 8 foot 6 inches. The thing about these machines is we do not always have to use them just for digging. You are going to have the ability to add auxiliary hydraulics to this machine. You're going to be able to add such things as a hydraulic thumb. We have a bracket here that is going to be for that thumb that turns your bucket kind of into a grapple, where you have that clamshell effect. You could also add such things that need auxiliary hydraulic, maybe such as a concrete breaker or a grapple bucket out here on the end. Whatever those things are, you do have that ability with these valves right here that are going to run back to your machine controls and allow you to use auxiliary hydraulics. So just know that this is not only a machine just meant for digging, but you can add the other attachments to this machine to make it versatile and make it fit your operation. Moving on back, let's talk about our front blade here, or our backfill blade, and also our tracks. So our backfill blade is here at the front of the machine. So keep in mind that whenever you're in these machines and you are driving this machine, this cab can spin all the way around in a circle, which I'll show here in a minute. But just know that whenever you are driving this and using the driving levers that we're going to see here in a minute, if you forget which way is front, just remember anytime you have the blade here in the front, this is going to be the front of your machine. So blade facing forward, that's the way you're going to travel if you push those sticks forward. Now, this is not only going to be a blade that you use for pushing material like a dozer. Honestly, that is probably going to be one of the least features that you are going to use this for, but this blade is going to be more for using it as a stabilizer for the machine. So being as that these are small and compact machines, not very wide and not super heavy compared to some other construction equipment, you are going to need a little bit of extra stabilization. So when you go and get to that point where you are ready to dig, what you're going to want to do is set this blade down on the ground, go ahead and push it down into the ground a little bit where it's raising the front of your machine just a touch off of the ground to make sure you have a good stable base underneath you. Now, this can be used for pushing material, and it is going to be good in those situations where you have a wide open area and you need to use it to fill large holes back in. So make sure that you know you can use it for that. But a lot of times this is going to be best for the stabilization, and this is also going to have 2 of our tie down points on it. So whenever we are hauling this machine, you have tie down points that are made into this front blade. Moving to the tracks, this is obviously going to be the base of our machine. This is where we are going to have the most of our weight here over the top of these tracks. So it is important that we are taking care of these. Now, the main thing about taking care of these tracks is making sure that whenever we are driving this machine, we're not cutting too hard on really hard material, we're not turning too sharp on really rough terrain, and then also making sure that we are keeping track tension at the right spec. And so how we can adjust track tension is we actually are going to do this with a grease gun. We're going to have an open spot right here in the center of the track where we can use this to pump grease into that track assembly, and that is going to tighten this track up if we start to get some slack in those tracks. But we want to have just the right amount of sag. Now, this is going to be very, very similar to a skid steer setup. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a link down in the description below of the skid steer video that I've done of adjusting the tension of the tracks, because the way that we are going to adjust these is going to be very, very similar to that. Now, what you're going to have on this 26P is going to be a 12-inch track. You are going to have 3 different options. So you are going to have the rubber track option that we have on this machine. You have a steel track option, and you also have a crawler pad option as well. And those are all going to be options that you can order from the factory or go ahead and change out later on depending on the working conditions that you're going to be in. Moving to the rear of the machine here, let's go ahead and talk about our engine. First thing that you need to know is this is a 20 horsepower Yanmar engine, and you are going to have 3 different compartments on this machine that you need to know how to get into, where they're at. First one is going to be here at the rear. All of these are going to be lockable, by the way. That way, if your machine is sitting out on a job site, you can lock these up so somebody can't come onto the job site, open these up, and possibly damage your equipment. So our first one back here at the rear, this is going to have such things as our fuel filters and water separators. You're also going to have your oil filter and your dipstick and your air filter assembly, and also your oil fill. Then we're also going to have this side engine compartment here that we can open up. So over on this side is where we're going to have our cooling components. So we're going to have such components as our radiator, oil cooler, our coolant reservoir right here, and then our battery right below that. And then our last opening compartment here is going to be over on the right hand side. Now in here is where we are going to have our diesel fill and also our hydraulic oil fill. And if we need to see a sight glass for our hydraulic oil, this is going to be on this open slot over here on the right hand side. Now as far as capacities go, you are going to have a 9-gallon fuel tank, you are going to have a 6.3 gallon hydraulic tank, and then your max gallons per minute on this machine for hydraulic flow is going to be 12.2. Right up here at the top of the canopy, you are going to have a sticker that tells you your periodic maintenance chart, when you need to change the oil, when you need to change the filters, and what type of fluids and the capacities that you're going to need. Those are all going to be right up there on the canopy style machine. But one thing about the 26P is it does not only come in just this open station canopy style model, this is also going to come in a cab model as well. So if you are looking at working in winter climates and needing a cab machine to keep you out of the winter elements, you are going to be able to get a cab with a heater. There is not going to be air conditioning in this cab. It's simply going to be a heat cab. So these are only going to be good really in those cold situations. So keep that in mind whenever you are looking into one of these machines. Another neat thing about this cab setup is that if you need to do maintenance underneath the floor of the cab, this whole operator station flips up and flips up at 50 degrees, so you have plenty of room to get in here and underneath here to do any type of service that you may need to do. So things that we can see, for one, we're going to have these levers out front here. These are going to be our driving levers. Now a lot like a zero turn mower or maybe even a skid steer, each one of these levers is going to control one track. So the right hand lever is going to control the right hand track, the left hand lever is going to control the left hand track. Same thing here for our foot pedals. So we have foot pedals here where we can use those to push either forward or reverse, whichever way we need to go there. So if you are a very experienced operator and you are going to be moving while you're digging, you can use those foot pedals while you're using your joysticks, so you can move all at one time and do every function that you need to do. Now, speaking of our joysticks, first thing you're going to notice is this red lever here. This is going to have to be up and out of the way so that you can get into the machine, because if we have this down, this means that we are ready to go to work. This is also going to be in the way of you getting into the cab. So whenever we first get in, first thing that we're going to do is start the machine up and then go ahead and put our lever down, and this is going to put us into operation mode. Now, like I talked about before, we have two joysticks here, one on each side. These are going to control your boom and then also the swing of your machine. So turning the whole cab is going to happen with our left hand control, and then also moving the stick or the dipper is going to happen with our left hand control, and our right hand control is going to raise or lower our whole boom and also either curl or dump our bucket. Now this is going to be if we are in excavator mode. You have two different options here whenever you're talking about controls on this machine. You can be in either excavator mode. This also in a lot of different machines is going to be considered ISO mode, or you can go in and change this to backhoe mode, or in a lot of different areas this is going to be called SAE. And what this does is this is going to change or swap our forward and reverse functions here at our joystick. So instead of the left hand here when we go forward or reverse, this operating the stick in excavator mode, if we have it swapped, the forward and reverse now is going on the left hand side is going to operate our boom. And then on the right hand side, our forward and reverse is going to operate the stick. Now, if you want to change that, you are going to have a little door down here that's going to require your key to get into, or we can open this up, switch that lever from excavator up to backhoe, and then that is going to change that function on your machine. The most standard is going to be ISO, so a lot of times these are already going to be set to excavator or ISO, and you are not going to want to change them. But if you're one that's used to that other style, that SAE or backhoe, just know that you do have the option of changing it right here. Now, once we get in, a couple of things that you are going to see is over here to the right, you are going to have a few controls, and you're also going to have one other pedal down here at your right hand side. This pedal is going to be the swing for only the boom itself. It's not going to turn your whole entire cab like your joystick will over here on the left. So if you are in those situations where you need to be straight on here, but you need to swing that boom out to dig over to the right or to the left, you have that down on the floor here. Now on our joystick, we're gonna have a couple of controls. One is gonna be a rocker switch up here, and like we showed before, this is gonna be for our auxiliary hydraulics. Then we're gonna have a button right below that that is for our horn. Next, we're gonna have a lever over here to the right. This is going to be for the raise and lower of that front blade. So making sure that whenever we are getting into those digging situations, we are pushing that forward, putting that blade down into the ground, raising the machine up a little bit to stabilize is going to be huge when running this machine. Right back behind that, you are going to have your key switch here where you can turn the machine on. You're also going to have 3 buttons across here. One that's going to be blue, which is our lights button. Yellow button over here, this is going to be for our moving alarm canceller. So what I mean is whenever you are backing up or going forward with this machine, it is going to constantly beep like you hear on the construction site. So if you are moving across this construction site or wherever you're working at and you don't want this machine beeping the whole time, you can simply hit this yellow button to cancel that out. Then we are going to have this green button over here. This is going to be for our 2-speed transmission. So on these machines, you are going to have a low speed and a high speed. Now the difference between that is on the low speed, your top speed is going to be 1.8 mile an hour. On your high speed, you're going to be a max speed of 2.8 mile an hour. So not much difference there, but whenever you're talking about traveling in one of these, especially across a whole job site or across a yard, that 1 mile per hour may make a big difference. So make sure you know that that is there. Then right back here, we are going to have our throttle. And then we're also going to have our fuel display next to that. Now, some other things that you may need to take note of is that you are going to have some stickers over here to the right that are going to give you some information. For one, they're going to tell you how your joysticks operate. They are going to tell you what your lever is for your blade. You're also going to have the map out of your excavator and your backhoe pattern over here on the right. So make sure that you know where these stickers are. You're going to have one here on this crossbar that is going to tell you how your pedal works. Down here that we talked about that swings our boom, and then like we said before, right up here up top is going to be our periodic maintenance chart. And then also you are going to have one right back behind you that is going to have your lifting capacities. So lifting capacities are going to be interesting on these machines. So we have to keep in mind the machine weighs 2.6 metric tons or 5,780 pounds. So a lot of times your lifting capacity is going to be right around or just a little less than half the weight of the machine. So lifting capacity fully extended out in front with the cab completely straight on this machine is going to be 2,570 pounds. Now, if we were to rotate this cab all the way out to the side, either to the left or the right, that lifting capacity is going to drop down to 781 pounds. And that is because whenever you are turned out to the sides, you are not in the fully stable position. So keep that in mind if you're going to be doing a lot of lifting, that if you need to lift something heavy, you need to be lifting it straight on, going straight forward here. So now we'll go ahead and turn the machine on. And remember, whenever you turn the machine on, you have to have your arm up here. We can turn it on, then we can put our joystick back down. And as you can hear there, we're at low idle, but it is fairly quiet here, not really real loud. If we go ahead and turn this all the way up, it gets a little louder, and it is probably just loud enough that if you were running one of these all day, you would want to have on some kind of hearing protection. So keep that in mind if you are running one of these machines. Just go ahead, don't risk it. Go ahead and get you some hearing protection to make sure that you are not damaging your ears for later on down the road. Now, as we talked about on operation of our joysticks, like I said, right-hand side is going to be for our boom and bucket. So if I pull up on my right-hand joystick, that is going to raise the boom right there. If I push forward, that's going to lower the boom. If I go in, that would curl the bucket. If I were to go out, that would dump the bucket. Now, over here on my left, this is going to operate the stick or the dipper out front. So if I push forward, that's going to extend the dipper. If I pull back, that is going to curl the dipper, just like that. And then if I go right to left, this is where the swing comes in. And as you notice right now, it's not just the boom that's swinging, it is the whole cab. So right there, we have that going on, just like that. And then, like I talked about before, if we wanted to swing just our arm. If we wanted to swing just the boom, we've got this foot pedal down here where we can push it to the right or to the left, and that is going to swing just the boom. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this machine back forward, just like so. Now, we talked about whenever we got ready to dig, we would want to put our blade down into the ground. So I would reach over, push forward on this lever, and you can see that whenever I push that down into the ground, it raised me up just a little bit, but now we are fully stable. If I needed to let that off, I would just pull back, and we can raise this blade all the way up to travel, or put it back down if we needed to push material. Now, when we talked about driving, like I said, with these driving levers, if I push both of them forward, that is going to move us forward. If I pull them both back, that is going to make us go backwards. If I turn them one over the other, we are going to turn. Same thing over here. So right there, very, very easy operation. Now, like you heard that beeping going on, even if I was going forward or backward, if I wanted to silence that, that is when I would hit my yellow button. And as you see, I'm still moving and we have no more beeping going on that machine. Now, once you let the machine go back into neutral, if you start to move again, then you're gonna have that alarm again. But anytime you want to turn it off, reach over, hit that yellow button, and you will kill that noise. Now, the last thing that everybody wants to talk about is price on these machines. Now, these machines are going to be differently priced depending on where you're at. Depending on where you're located at and where your dealer is located at, you could possibly get a better deal if you buy within your area or closest to your nearest dealer, depending on where their area of responsibility is. So pricing can vary on these machines. If you are looking at getting one of these, I would highly suggest you getting in touch with your local John Deere dealership so that you can get the best price possible for this machine. Also, whenever you are looking into warranty on these machines, I would highly recommend that you look into the PowerGuard warranty system, just so that you have that peace of mind. We know that whenever we get these machines, we're going to be working hard with them, digging them, putting them under stress, all of these other things. So make sure that you are getting the protection that you need to protect your investment. But overall, guys, I hope this video helped you out. I hope that you liked this video. If you were looking into one of these 26Ps, I hope this showed you everything that you needed to know about this machine. If it did, we just ask that you would hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, guys, if you are looking for more videos like this or just more videos over John Deere equipment in general, make sure to go check out the rest of the channel. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, make sure to check out this cool video and this one. Buy your parts right up here and subscribe right here.